I graduated high school kasi from Philippine Science High School, Cagayan Valley Campus, and we're required to study science slash math subjects. So when I was choosing a course for college, I didn't really pursue finance. I chose my love since grade school pa talaga, which is math. It so happened na that the math course in Ateneo is called Applied Mathematics, major in Mathematical Finance. So from college, so that course exposed me to finance subjects, accounting, and mga derivatives. So after college, that's when I started my first job as a microfinance officer for Eastern Twin Stars Foundation. They have a tie-up with Jesuit Volunteers Philippines. In fact, if there are still students here or fresh graduates, I really advise you to volunteer as well. You can search for Jesuit Volunteers Philippines. So yun, Chase. So from my microfinance, I then applied for BPI, and then my kwento pa yun eh. So because during my college years, we have this practitioner seminar course, which is called parang practitioner seminar for asset management. Our boss there, or our lecturer there, was Sir Mario Miranda, who is the head of BPI Asset Management. So just a background, guys, Chase and I used to work together in BPI. So boss namin si Sir Mario Miranda. Yeah. So from that practitioner seminar, so after my volunteer stint in JVP, I sent my resume to Sir Mario Miranda, and then from there, he got me, I was able to join the officership training program. There's an officership training program in BPI, they call it OTP. Yeah. So from the OTP course, that's 6 months, I was assigned in asset management. So that's where I met Chase Garlana.
Right. Yeah. So just going further to that. So you were also with research, right? Prior to really delving into trading. Maybe you can also give a background on that.
Okay. So when I started in BPI Asset Management, my first job was an investment analyst. So I was assigned to look for equities and fixed income names that we can invest in. So after 2 years as an investment analyst, I transferred to the portfolio management side. So my title there was Associate Portfolio Manager. So this time this is my entry to the trading, because we were both equities trader and portfolio manager in BPI. So we trade our own name. So very exciting, because you don't just analyze names, you really invest, buy, and sell specific securities, limited though within the Philippine Stock Exchange market. Yeah. So from research, I was able to jump to portfolio management. Then from associate portfolio manager, I transferred naman to Sun Life as Equities Central Dealer. So this time, it's pure trading. So in asset management, so for the benefit of the people, usually fund management is a team. So you're composed of portfolio managers, and then traders, and then research. So that's the tripartite parang teamwork happening in the fund management industry. So for people who are looking for a career in finance, you can either become a research analyst, yeah, so you can be that, or a portfolio manager, or a trader, which is something na I'm working as now as Equity Central Dealer.
Right. And yeah, talking career-wise, again, you've done the rounds with respect to the investment management process, from research to portfolio management and also trading. And with this, with your very robust career, what would you consider as your highest achievement throughout the time that you've been working?
Okay, highest achievement. Trading kasi is very fast, and you can get lost in the details. So for me, I always try to zoom out. in a sense na what am I really doing here, diba? In my work. So for me, my greatest achievement is something na more or less parang general. For me, my achievement, parang that's the reason I wake up every day, is I'm able to help people at the other end of, and at the other side, people to achieve their financial goals. What do I mean by that, no? When people invest kasi in funds, they are trying to attain a certain financial goal. And for me, that's very special and something that's for me an achievement, because I'm able to help people on scale. So imagine if there are, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of people invested in that fund. My work, I can help those people na, although indirectly, diba? I don't get to meet them, but I get to help them in one way or another. So just an example, Chase,
Sure.
during my stint in BPI, we had this client, which is an NGO. So they are invested as a trust account in BPI, and every quarter we go to them, we report, these are your earnings in your portfolio, and that's something very special for me because I am able to help an NGO, diba? Even if I'm not there as an officer or a worker in an NGO, I was able to help the NGO parang pursue their goals, their missions, because the returns they get to generate from their funds, from their portfolio, that's the one they use for their operations naman. So that's an example for me na achievement siguro in a way, because when I started in finance, diba, you would think na puro pera, diba? Puro pera, paano ba kumita, ganyan. But after a while, you realize na hindi lang siya puro pera actually. Hindi lang siya parang how to earn more money, ganyan. But at the end of the day, there are people at the end of the investment, di ba? Na people, real NGOs, real workers who are trying to save their money and trying to invest so that they can attain a financial objective. And the next, in my example, in the NGO, they are trying to generate returns for their portfolio so that they can execute on their work as an NGO. So I think that's an example on my achievement. But in general, my greatest achievement is that opportunity to help people attain their financial goals.
Right. Thanks for that. I mean, yeah, as a trader, you're not really in the front lines, like talking to the clients, but at least you also do
Yes.
a role important for them to build and for them to achieve their income goals, right? Right. For our audience here in the chat, in the call, you can just, if you have any questions, you can just type it in the chat. But yeah, we'll be looking into those questions a little bit later. And moving on, Rod, you also since this is a CFA event, right? How did the network and the knowledge from like the CFA Institute or like going through the exams, how did the concepts help you to become a better trader or analyst or portfolio manager?
Okay, thank you for the question, Chase. CFA kasi is, if you look at the curriculum, it's composed of different subjects from all, I think, all finance related industries. So if even if you're in equities, you get to learn fixed income, derivatives, corporate finance, accounting. So it's for me, it's the one course that you have to take if you're going to get into finance. In my experience, so thank you for introducing me a while ago. I'm also a financial risk manager and a chartered market technician. If I compare the CFA to those two, I can say na malayo talaga yung CFA. Not because I'm here in the CFA talk, no, but because if you look at the curriculum, CFA talaga is the designation that you want to pursue because it contains almost everything. So when I say almost everything, every aspect of finance that you can think of, it's included in the CFA program. during my stint as, for example, as an Equities Central Dealer, I don't know anything about VWAP or implementation shortfall. Those terms are terms that I just encountered when I took the CFA exams. It came very handy when I was already as working as an Equity Central Dealer, because we were able to implement those VWAP and implementation shortfall. Sorry, medyo jargon yung VWAP and implementation shortfall, but my point is those terms, I didn't encounter them when I was in school. I didn't encounter them anywhere else but in CFA. So to answer your question, Chase, it really helped me a lot because it gave me the foundation to become a better trader, to become a better financial analyst, and to become a better portfolio manager, because it will give you all the details that you need to excel in a finance career.
Great, thank you. And yeah, just going back to that, since you said a while ago that you were doing applied math major in mathematical finance in college, right? I guess for you personally, like in terms of the different topics that the CFA covers, which topic for you was the easiest coming in, and which topics did you have to focus on or give special attention to?
Oh, okay. Our course in Ateneo, it's called Applied Mathematics, major in mathematical finance. We already have subjects before that relates to the derivatives portion, mga options, yan, mga forwards. So those things came in handy when I took the CFA exams. Those are the subjects that I think I'm comfortable when I took the CFA exam, because we were able to discuss that prior to my exam in CFA. So yun. In terms of the things naman that I got difficulty in, siguro most common for everyone is the accounting part. So Chase here, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is a summa cum laude in UP. So he is the expert in accounting, but for me, that's something na I have to work on, because we only had 2 subjects na related sa accounting when we were in college. So that's something na very difficult for me, especially on the FRA side. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess just to add to that, well, for accounting students, I guess it's easier, like in general, to just breeze through the FRA, because that's what you're most focused in. But for me, also, like I also like found, well, for me it was economics and alternative investments, just because they were different. Yeah, and in terms of like the CFA again, the curriculum, like are there any like standout concepts that, when aside from what you already mentioned earlier, maybe can you give more examples that when you actually saw them being applied in real life, you were like, oh, this is what, ito pala yung sinasabi nila dun sa program, yeah.
Siguro more on the equity valuation part. So before, I didn't really understand yung mga ganong concept, how to value companies, how to, di ba? But when I was in my work na in BPI and here in Sun Life, we receive reports a lot of companies, valuation, mga parang mga buy and sell recommendations on specific stocks. So those concepts, yung mga DCF, diba, discounted cash flows, net present value, those concepts for me were very useful, because in a way, parang, this is something na I just learned in theory. In CFA, they will teach you the theory, but once you have the chance to work for fund management or for asset management companies, that's where the nitty-gritty, diba, comes out. So the foundation, the theories, well explained in CFA and very useful once you start to implement those things.
Right. And yes, also related to with respect to the CFA program, how I guess how relevant or how important would you say the CFA exam is with respect to like the current I guess country and global context, do you still think it's something that like potential takers should be interested in, or what are your views regarding that?
Yeah. Regarding that question, Chase, let me give you an example muna. So I have a friend who is a CFA charter holder from here, from the Philippines. She's also from Cagayan. I won't mention na lang her name. But she was able to migrate to Australia. So imagine you're a finance, di ba, practitioner here in the Philippines, and then you go to Australia, and then she was able to get a job na talagang finance din talaga in Australia. So my point is, I think the CFA designation helped her siguro establish credibility, 'di ba? She was able to get a job in Australia. And that's something that I like about CFA. It's recognized globally. So even if you decide to migrate from Philippines, siguro you go to Australia or to Singapore or to other place, people would recognize the designation, the work that you've put in, and realize na this is someone who is siguro above average, because not everyone who takes CFA passes CFA. So for me,
Right.
parang it's a screener, kumbaga, of people, especially on the finance industry. So,
Right. And yeah, the CFA exam, the CFA program, you have 3 levels, and I'm assuming you also had to, aside from balancing like studying for the exams, you also had to balance that time with doing the actual work, right? So for the young professionals out there, what's your advice? Like how would you be able to balance or prepare for the exam?
especially for students, if I don't know if there are students here, let's see nga. Ayun, so hello mga second year student from New Era University, sila Rod. Yeah, so we have a lot of students here. This is something na I just encountered recently. No? There's a Coursera course called Learning How to Learn. So if you can search for that, I really advise all students or anyone who's taking a test to look for Learning How to Learn sa Coursera. They will teach you the most effective ways on how to study for an exam. So, yun. So that's number one. You have to take that and you can learn a lot from that. Number two is to do it every day. So CFA exam for me is not a one-time big time. The real test is not on the day of the exam. The real test is on the everyday prior to the exam. For example, so exam is 6 months from now. The real test is not on the exam date. The real test on the 6 months prior to this exam, because you have to do it every day. So for me, my suggestion is to take it 1 hour at a time. So before, when I was in BPI, I will go to work very early before everyone else was there. I was already there. I will study for 1 hour in the conference room in BPI. I don't know if you know that, Chase, when you enter BPI, diba? There's a conference
Yeah.
room there. You can see me there 1 hour reviewing. By lunch, I will put in another 1 hour. In finance pala, guys, we have a 1 hour and 30-minute break. So you can take 30 minutes lunch and then you can add another study time there for 1 hour. And then at the end of the day, before I go home, I study again for another hour. So you won't notice it, but you already had siguro 3 hours of study time, diba? Throughout the day, versus studying for 3 hours all after work. So I think that won't work for me because I have a short study period. Parang after 1 hour, I'm dead na, parang ganun. So nothing is getting inside my head na after 1 hour. So I do that. I try to separate mga exam times, yun. And siguro try to do a lot of practice exercises din.
All right. Yeah. I think that's very helpful now. Like, when you think of it as like 3 1 hour clips in terms of time instead of like a block of 3 hours, I think it makes it more manageable, the load. And then yeah, it's also, since it's spread throughout the day, you also don't get as tired probably as like trying to compress it in 3 hours. So yeah, that's a
Yeah.
nice
Siguro
nice
ikaw
tip.
din, Chase, you can share your tips. Diba?
Uh,
You already
well,
took the...
I guess for me it was also really more of trying to do the practice exams. For me naman, in terms of like structuring the hours, it depends for me. Like
Mm,
for me, I was really more focused during the weekends, like putting more time during the weekends. But if
weekend.
probably if I heard your suggestion na tig isang oras, maybe I would have managed the time better. But what also
Better.
helped for me was like really doing the practice exams, because you get a feel of how the exam would look like
Mm,
especially when you go to the higher levels, which are uh, more challenging, and or like if you have to do like level 3 during our time, where you had to write sort of an essay with respect to with respect to the question. You have to give your answer in an essay form um, instead of the multiple choice questions in the
sorry,
lower levels. So it really helped me like to know how the questions were going to be framed, or like uh, what we were going to expect, so that like when the exam time actually came, like I wouldn't be like really surprised. I mean, I know that this would be the format, or this is how it's probably gonna look like
look
once
like.
the exam actually takes place. Yeah.
Actually, in learning how to learn na course, they mentioned that
Mhm.
practice talaga is the most effective way to understand and learn things parang ganun. So guys, if you are planning to take the exam, make sure na you do a lot of practice exercises. That's the only way you know na you know the subject. If you're getting it right, then good. If not, then you know na you need to study more. And tama si Chase every person is different. So I have my own style. Chase has his own style. But at the end of the day, the probability that you will pass is correlated to the time you will invest in studying. So no matter where you get that time, ikaw bahala. But at the end of the day, the more time you devote to studying, the higher the chance of passing the exam. I think yun yung kailangan din.
Yeah, and I actually also like that you mentioned kanina yung parang the test isn't just on the day itself. It's also it starts from the preparation itself. So like
Mm,
when you have that mindset, so that you have to be prepared every day. But when you also go like when the exam time comes, you'd be like ready, or at least you'd feel less stressed about like thinking
pressure.
about that. Right. Thank you. And yeah, I think I also saw yung learning how to learn sa Coursera, and I'll probably um, enroll in that like after this this call then. Right. Yeah, I guess aside from the CFA naman, like what other I guess you also mentioned a while ago like the FRM and the CMT. Maybe you could also like give
Mm.
a brief explanation on like what are those, like why, and why did you what drove you to also take those exams, or yeah, certifications.
Okay. For me, siguro this is common for all CFA charter holders. Learning doesn't stop. So we have here, actually we're fortunate Sir Rob is here. He's a doctor, so he's a PhD. So it goes to show na people who are charter holders are really parang trying to learn every day. And when the CFA exam ended, I realized parang I had a lot of free time. So I signed up for another exam. Yan. CMT is more on the technical analysis side, and FRM is more on the risk management side. Yan. So those in brief, those are the two exams, no? Yun. So let me know pala for our audience here, if you're planning to take the exam, let us know in the chat box if you're planning to take or if you dream of taking it. So let us know. So we can so Chase and I has an understanding of our audience too.
Right. And also if you have any other questions that you would want to ask Rod, just feel free to type it in the chat box. Great. So aside from those more technical, uh, like the technical certifications and all, what other, I guess, what other things have you been involved with while you're in this in the trading career? Like, are there any other, um, I guess, something like a professional organization or something that you're also involved with to boost the technical side of things, or probably also related to soft skills, to develop soft skills?
Okay. So I think the best time to actually to learn is now. No, we have a lot of online courses available. Ba? Some are free, some are paid. But if you look at mga Udemy, ganyan, there are
Mhm.
numerous amounts of material. The only limitation is the one you put to yourself, di ba? Kung how much time will you devote to learning more, and parang how dedicated can you be in taking these courses. So just review siguro, one of the things that you want to learn if you're planning to learn something new, no, you want to take programming. So I'm trying to learn mga Python programs, especially on VBA. You'll be surprised in your work, especially in at least in my work, we use Microsoft Excel a lot of the times. And if you know how to program in Excel, you use mga VPA, your work will significantly parang become easier. And yun, you will lessen mga errors because everything is automated na. So if you know how to automate things, especially in Excel, yun, that would really help you in your career, because you will lessen the time na mga manual stuff and focus more on the high value na mga work done. So yun. So that's something na I can recommend also to learn, guys. Programming. Yun.
All right. So you also mentioned about programming, and there's this question in the chat. What do you think about like data science in finance as well, and how do you think it's beneficial in like a job like ours or another CFA related job?
Ayun, data science is something very new pa, at least in the whole industry, and especially in finance, no. And I think that's the way to go. We have a lot of data coming in, and if you know how to parang ang tawag dito, how to mine those data, how to make sense of those data, that will be very helpful. Ayun. CFA related job. So in CFA kasi, you want to get an edge because everyone is looking at the same data, everyone is looking at the same companies, diba? But if you have an edge on how to interpret and siguro put mga statistical analysis into the data, then you have an edge in analyzing and hopefully forecasting what will happen to those companies. So for me, there's a lot of potential, especially now. So if you are planning to do data science, I think that's plus points for you. How about you, Chase? What do you think of data science?
Yeah, I guess for me it's really early stages, but I think like in our job, like we get to read a lot of articles, right? And it's also, I think, one of the applications of data science as well is like machine learning, or like trying to like sift through like a numerous amount of data and like how to make sense of it. And while it's like, again, as I mentioned, we're still early stages. I think like within the next probably 5 to 10 years, we'd see more of the applications of data science in what we're doing right now. Like, for example, probably in terms of analyst reports, you'd already see like expectations for like upward revisions or downward, something like that, or like how to be able to better track or see or with respect to earnings. I think that's also something that can be done within the foreseeable future, probably. But again, right now early stages, but yeah, there's a potential for it to boom, especially as data science also like um, goes through all of the industries in time. Yeah, right. I guess aside from um, the what you already mentioned earlier, are there like aside from Python, are there any other things that you're also like looking into? What are you like currently doing? What skills are you trying to improve like on the ano naman, mga soft skills like something with
Soft
respect
skills.
to yeah communication or like trying to deal with other people, mga ganun.
Okay. Thanks for that, Chase. In when I was in BPI, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Toastmasters. So I together with Chase, we built this Toastmasters club called BPI Toastmasters Club. So that's my first Toastmaster club na we built from scratch. So Toastmasters is a club related to public speaking. Yan. So I don't know, guys. There are a lot of people here who came from the province. So I myself is from the province. Sa Tugigaraw ako. And my parang I always had this insecurity in speaking in public. So for me, um, going through the process of attending Toastmasters, giving speeches, and sort of improve my command of the English language. So that's something you can work on. Any industry, kahit sales ka pa or marketing or sa finance, you really need to present and you have to communicate things effectively to other people. So that's one. You want to improve your communication skills. So if you're planning pala to attend Toastmasters, you can message me in my Facebook page. You can search for me, Rod Barit. I can send you the details. Let me introduce you to the world of Toastmasters. After BPI Toastmasters Club, we created another club in my present workplace. We call it Sun Life Philippines Toastmasters Club. So I have another Toastmasters Club here in my current workplace. So that's how much I love Toastmasters because
Yeah.
it really helped me a lot. So siguro if I didn't take Toastmasters, I won't have the confidence to speak here in front of you guys to be comfortable. I still stutter a lot, diba? I don't know, I'm not that good in speaking in English, pero it can be improved and hopefully, and I'm very happy that I learned about Toastmasters. So somehow I improved naman after a while.
Right. Yeah, and I guess with Toastmasters, there's also that like facing the audience or facing like um giving a speech to people. So that also trains you. Like for example, you have to do client presentations or when you have to deal with like the management, like when you have to present before them. That also like helps you be in the get into the zone and like practice ahead of that.
Yes, especially if you're planning to be an investment analyst. So
Mhm.
it's one thing to know the numbers, to know, diba, to know the company, to know everything about the financials, diba? But it's another thing to present. I think CFA holds a, diba, research challenge. So
Right.
it's a big portion of how you can, diba, sell your idea to other people. And siguro communication talaga is something you have to improve. Another thing pala, Chase, I'm also
Mm.
trying to learn how to write more effectively. So
Okay.
aside from giving speeches in Toastmasters, I also try to update my Facebook page. So I and my blog. Actually, I have a website pala, rodbarit.com. So you can search there mga blog posts that I write. Because for me, if you know how to communicate, one thing is yung public speaking, another thing is the written communication. It will help you a lot in terms of if you're in the office, if you're planning to write research reports, diba? Write anything, mga memos, or just communication with your coworkers. That's something na you want to improve also. Especially for our students here, you might want to improve your writing and public speaking.
Right. Yeah. I guess we can also go back to that later. We can discuss that more in detail. With respect to the CFA, you're a member of the CFA Institute as well, right? So how is it having that connection or that network? How has it helped you to like be again to further your career in trading or in investment management in general?
Okay. In CFA, what is great about CFA, at least the network, is you can meet a lot of people from different banks. So you can meet people there who are working for BPI, mga Sun Life, ING, HSBC, RCBC, sila Sir Rob. And these people are parang decision makers din in those fields. So I think it's a place where you can meet people, especially in the finance field. And just an example, when I transferred to my current workplace, the one who is hiring is also a CFA charter holder. So my boss is a CFA charter holder, and I think that made a lot of parang edge for me, at least, because I'm talking to a CFA charter holder who is parang more or less we already know the expectations from each other. So my point is it gives you a lot of credibility in a sense, because once you apply for positions, especially in finance, parang once you have the CFA charter, more or less parang you're equipped to do the specific task at hand. So in terms of network, you will meet a lot of people, not just here in the Philippines. You can meet CFA charter holders from abroad as well. So yun, you can, what I like about CFA is they hold mga talks where people, especially now that it's pandemic, di ba? You can join talks from other places because everyone now is connected through the internet, and you can join mga Zoom calls like this, and you can choose from a wide range of topics. So there are people or CFA charter holders discussing trading, discussing research, discussing mga data finance in diba? Data science in finance. So you can actually search for those talks, and you can access those through your CFA society.
Right. So again, it's really having that network and being with like-minded people who also undergone the rigor of the exam also like helps you boost connections and gets you like ahead of with respect to your career. In terms of again going to career, like how were you able to were you able to like do or think of the path that you wanted to, like how did you eventually end up in trading? What led you to that those decisions? Like how what was the thought process for you, I guess?
Okay. When I was in BPI, I started as an investment analyst and then portfolio management. So I realized I'm more of a trading guy more than research. So I love the fast-paced environment of trading. So from there, I realized I'm really for the trading, and parang I didn't go back na after. So in terms of process, Che, siguro on how you can manage siguro your career then, aside from having that framework, you always have to do your best in everything you do. I think that helped me a lot in terms of career management, because if you are working, especially in finance here in the Philippines is a very small tight community. People know everyone. So if you're planning to shift career, or you want to shift siguro a role, no? People will know how you work in your previous role because they'll just ask your colleagues, diba? So whatever work you're in, you have to make sure na you are doing your best, you are reliable, you are something na they can trust you. So that if you plan to change career, kasi as people, I realized people also change. I don't know if I still like trading after some time, di ba? But if you have the fundamentals, parang every day you try to learn everything you want to improve, you can more or less parang set a brand for yourself na si Chase ganito siya mag-work, si Rod ganito siya mag-work. And no matter what path you choose, if you have been doing your work well enough, then I think you can survive yung any career steps that you can take after.
All right. Yeah, and again, since you've done like a lot of rotation across the investment management process, like how is it? Like, what are the probably characteristics that you think would be important, for example, for an analyst compared to like what are the requirements for you for a good trader? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Mga characteristics, no? Number one is you have to read a lot. So I don't know, even if you're from, it doesn't matter if you're from trading or investment, in the research side, you have to read a lot, and you have to be, you have, because learning accrues every day. So you have to read a lot, not just yung mga theories, diba? You have to read the news, you have to know what's going on here in the Philippine market. You also want to know what's happening outside. So that's something that I want to recommend as well, na to read, diba? So aside from reading, especially for our students na are here, you want to get the experience as early as possible. So if I'm going to hire someone and I have two kunwari, and someone has already been trading personal account, di ba? Nagte-trade siya stocks or bonds here in the Philippines or outside, that would give you parang an edge na for me. So you can do that by as early, kunyari, you're still a student, you can open a brokerage account and then try to buy stocks na from the Philippines or from abroad if you have if you have mga trading accounts, because that will separate you from the group then. Because for me, it's something if you know the concepts behind, but it's another thing if you have the experience of buying and selling securities talaga na, di ba? You have the emotions, you have the, parang if you're invested and then what will you do if the stock price suddenly goes down, di ba? For me, that's a big portion, the experience, and you can get that naman with your personal trading, especially for students. Because at the end of the day, if you want to become a trader or if you want to become a fund manager, how can you manage other people's money if you don't know how to manage your own, di ba? Parang ganun. So for me, basic yun. So you want to become a reader, you want to learn more every day. Second is to parang get the experience na trading and investing in the markets, financial markets.
Right. So you mentioned a while ago about like risk taking, right? So in this like current environment wherein like there is a lot of uncertainty, like I guess personal views, like how are you able to like manage with respect to like a very volatile market? Like how do you, I guess, keep afloat, or how do you at least face the job, like knowing that it's going to be, you're not sure what's going to happen in the like a week from now or like a month from now? How do you manage that?
Ayan, that's something common for everyone, and that's something I like also about trading, because every day there's something new, there's news, diba? Every day is a fresh start. So how do you manage yung mga, especially in our jobs, Chase, we manage parang billions of pesos eh. So a slight error can mean a lot in terms of absolute amount, di ba? So you want to really be careful. So you want to parang be focus in your job. So yun, that's one. So you want to focus and you want to parang compose yourself, because in a trading day, it can go up and it can go down by a lot. It can be volatile, especially last year, diba? 2020, when we had the markets crashing. So you want to stay focused lang and stay calm. So yun, that's something na you want to learn through time. When I started trading, especially when I was in BPI. So parang I'm very cautious din. Parang I don't know how to call parang certain shots, but at the end of the day, you want to be firm and you want to be focused as well.
Right. Yeah, and I guess like having targets would also like help you, because you know that if it's gonna go up or go down, at least when you're disciplined enough to like know that there are certain targets or again your goals that you have to achieve, then you'd be able to like manage all the volatility or the ups and downs. Right.
I also employ Chase. For example, I'm buying the securities. I also try to parang get half. For example, I'm assigned to buy, for example,
Right.
100,000. I try to get like half, ganun. If I don't have a view, so
Right.
yun, I try to get half na, so that whatever happens, I'm done with the 50%. Parang ganun. I don't know if you also do that in your
Yeah, I guess sometimes it like for example, if I have to do like a trade na like to adjust to the current like model, like usually I don't, depends. I also sometimes I don't do it outright as well. I try to pace it. Depends on like how I feel. But yeah, it's more often than not, I'm more the type that will try to pace the trades like over the course of a few days, so that I know like even if it goes up or down, at least I know that it's done over like a period of time, and I get to the gains at least for whatever period would benefit me the most. Yeah. Again, if you have more questions, you can just type in the chat box. And I guess the next question for Rod, probably like, what, I guess if there's anything that you wish you would have wanted, you would have wanted to know earlier in your career, or like any like piece of advice that you would give your younger self, like starting out, what would it have been?
The thing with yung parang what could what
Like what knowledge or
what
advice would you have given your
Mhm.
previous self? Like now that you know marami ka nang alam with respect to trading or the investment management process, like what to make it parang better for your journey? Ganun.
For me, you have to parang take it one step at a time. So what do I mean by that, no? Um, in finance especially, parang people, there will be a lot of parang people or there will be a lot of parang uh, things that you can focus on. So for example, in CFA, you have your work, diba? You have your own social life, you have your family that you have to deal with. I think what would help people is to parang focus on one thing. Don't multitask. I have a tendency of multitasking a lot, like committing myself to many things at the same time. Um, you can't accomplish anything if you multitask. It's very important to focus lang on one thing. So for example, you can't take 3 exams at the same time. Just take it one step at a time. And what you want is to also avoid distractions, which is parang related to this na parang one task ka lang palagi. So what I do usually is, for example, I'm studying, I turn off my phone, I put my phone outside the room, ganyan, and then just try to focus on this particular thing that I'm studying. Because if you try to do everything at once, you will end up accomplishing nothing. So I think that's something I just learned after a while. Because when I started in my career, I want to do a lot of things, diba? I want to do this, I want to do that. And after some time, you realize you're not accomplishing anything. So it's better if you commit to something, just focus on one task and try to finish it. And then after that, you think of another commitment na naman.
All right. And then I guess you also mentioned again. You mentioned earlier about your the personal finance Facebook page, right? Maybe you can share more about that. Like what led you to make a page, and like how do you see like yourself moving forward with respect to this side of you?
So I have this page and I don't have a lot of followers naman. But I just realized na if you really want to learn and grasp a concept, you have to teach it to other people. So
Mhm.
that's something that I learned while doing this, because I realized if you're teaching it, you have to know it by heart, and the process of teaching it to other people parang not just helps other people, so it helps you as well. So that's one side, the personal development side on myself. The second one is I realized na I learned a lot of finance concepts after studying in college and then studying for the CFA exams. And then I realized na parang a lot of Filipinos, especially within my own circle lang, they don't know anything about money market funds, diba? They don't know where to place their money. And for me, these are things that in any field, kahit saan ka nag-work, you have to
Right.
know these things as early as possible, because it has a compounding effect all the way to your retirement. So it also became my advocacy na. So guys, if you want to learn more about finance, you want to, parang you have questions, feel free to message me. Let's make a call. Let's schedule a call. Actually, last Monday, Chase, I have a Zoom call with a friend, 1 hour lang. And then I have another one scheduled again next Monday. Yan, with the doctors naman.
Oh.
So, ayun, it helps a lot in your personal development because you learn as you teach. And at the same time, parang for me, it gives also a sense of meaning of giving back. For me, parang God siguro, I don't know, the whole world has been very kind to me, di ba? Parang I was able to graduate in Ateneo. I had a lot of blessings. Pinag-aral ako ng parents ko for CFAs. Actually, sila yung nagbayad. So, free scholar ako ng parents ko when it comes to CFA. So, I receive a lot from people, and I'm very fortunate. And I think giving back, siguro in my own little ways, parang that's something na I just want to share na what I learned. Siguro, I can't give people money because I don't have a lot, but at least yung learning on how to make more money for your family, for your financial goals, for your retirement, kahit pa paano makatulong ako sa iba. So I think that's something na we na you can people can also adopt. So kahit anong field ba kayo, try to teach it to other people. You'll be surprised of the parang the benefits also that will come back. I didn't realize it before, pero just realized when you give to other people, I don't know, parang it's natural siguro na it will flow back. Parang ganun.
And sorry, I didn't get that. What's your Facebook page again? Like, how can the our audience reach you?
Just search for my name, Rod Barit. I have a Facebook page na. Before I have a handle, it's Pinoy Money Planner. But I changed it to Rod Barit para
Okay.
it's easy to remember.
All right. So I guess last question would be like, what are the parting words for like the future traders out there who also want to be like probably the next Rod Barrett in 5 to 10 years from now? Like, what's something that you can say to them?
Hmm. Um, for me, I want to leave the word kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese word for continuous improvement. And ayun, no matter what field you want to pursue, just make sure you are improving every day. You want to upskill anytime. Um, and yun, try to learn as much as possible. And for me, if you're into finance, it's parang your 3 years of learning every day is set if you sign up for the CFA exams. Yan. So again, thank you for inviting me, CFA. That's for me, CFA not just helped me in my parang career, no? It also helped me manage my time well. It helped me hone discipline, time management, and parang how to give back to other people. So guys, if you want to be if you want to be a trader as well, uh, you have to improve every day. So remember the word kaizen, continuous improvement, and thank you for this.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Rod. So again, continuous improvement would help us really succeed in the future. So thank you very much for that interesting and inspiring talk, Rod. And yeah, for our audience, if you can clap within your within your seat, your screens, or you can like push the clap button for Rod. Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, this has been our session for this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Chase and Rod. That was a wonderful session, lively, engaging, and maganda pala pag magkaibigan, no? The flow of discussion was very smooth. We'd like to have time for Q&A. We'll accommodate up to 2 to 3 questions, probably. So for those who would like to ask question, you may, are they allowed to unmute themselves? Yes, you may. So you may unmute yourself. You may also turn on your video and ask question to Rod. Or if you're a shy type, you may want to just type in the Zoom group chat, which you will see on the bottom of the screen. Okay, we'll see. Anyone who wants to volunteer, or shall I volunteer someone? Ha.
Hello, Andre Mikhail.
Asaan dyan?
Oh, Ilocano din pala si Rob and si...
Oo. Ako, nanay ko,
And
Ilocano.
Rachel. Oh.
Ako din actually.
Talaga ba?
And
Oh
si
my
Chase,
God.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yan.
May mga
Hello,
nagtatanong ba? Nahihiya kay Rod. Ano ba yan, Rod?
Oo nga,
Go
huwag kayong
na.
mahiya.
Just
Oo nga
ask.
eh.
Si Rod.
Maybe their questions have been answered already during the lively discussion between the two of you, Rod and Chase. So if there are no more questions, pretty much that concludes our webinar. And I'd like to personally thank you, Chase, for being with us. Thank you, Rod, for sharing your story. Maybe Chase will we should feature you next. Baliktad, no? Tapos siya na may moderator.
Si Rod na yung mod.
Ang funny. But I really like how the discussion went, and I because you understand each other, you've been through some things together, so it was easy for you guys to go with the flow of your discussion. And I think a lot of our students who are present here today, or even those who are working, kasi I saw there's a young professional present here in our webinar. I'm sure even the young professionals have learned a lot from today's session. Again, CFA Society Philippines would like to thank you, Rod and Chase. So, by this time, may I please ask everyone to check the Facebook live in CFA Society Philippines. We have provided already the link at the comment section for the evaluation form. Upon completion of the evaluation form, you will be receiving an electronic copy of the certificate. And you may also, of course, look at the profile of Mr. Rod Barit. Nung kinukuha na ng photo yan, nandyan lang ako sa likod niya. I was there when he had the photo shoot. So I remember the spot that we picked for this specific shot. You may scan the QR code that is flashed on your screen to get to read the profile of Mr. Rod Barit. And there are also other profiles in the career guide webinar for the other industries. For our next webinar, this will be happening in April. Medyo matagal pa. In April 2021, we'll be focusing on financial technology. And since you guys both mentioned, Rod and Chase, about data science, we will be including that as well. We'll include a session on the career related to data science, no? Because we have several people, CFA charter holders too, who are in this industry. And would like to take this opportunity to thank again our annual corporate sponsors, National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, bronze sponsor Sea Oil Philippines Inc., and accept our sincerest appreciation for your time and effort in participating in today's webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod and Chase.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Rob.
Ay, Rod, Chase, mag-picture kaya muna tayo kasi nagsialisa na pala sila. Ano ba yan?
Ayo, sige.
Ay, ano
Oo
ba
nga,
yan?
picture,
For
picture.
those who are still here, guys, let's have a group photo. Tech, my colleagues, can you please? Yes, there. Oh, hello, Camille, Reynan. How about the others?
Hello.
Hi, Shane.
Hi, Reynan.
Kamusta? The others na mahiya, please join us. Hi, Resty. We have Micaela. Hi, Everine. Rogelyn.